What if everything you have been taught about money is not only wrong but dangerous? What if the safe path of steady work, careful saving, and delayed retirement is a plan to give your best years away? This book will not promise easy riches. It will challenge the story that patience alone will create wealth. It will force you to choose between accepting slow surrender or designing a faster path to control, scale, and time freedom. M.J. DeMarco exposes two opposing roadmaps, the slow lane and the fast lane. The slow lane trades time for money, waits for compound interest to save a future self, and risks that life will change before rewards arrive. The fast lane uses leverage, systems, and value creation to accelerate wealth and to reclaim time now. This book is a blueprint for abandoning the deferred life script and for building vehicles that generate scalable, controllable income. Before proceeding to the book summary, if you are new to my channel and not subscribed yet, then please subscribe to my channel and don't forget to hit the bell icon so you get notification for next amazing book summary on time. Let's begin the summary. Part 1, Wealth in a Wheelchair. Chapter 1, The Great Deception. What if the widely promoted financial roadmap is a confidence trick disguised as wisdom? Society sells a script: get educated, secure a job, save dutifully, then retire at an advanced age. DeMarco calls this the deception because it promises comfort while it steals time and opportunity. The slow lane depends on uncertain market returns, delayed gratification, and surviving long enough to enjoy deferred rewards. Many people follow this roadmap and wake to find that life passed them by. If the popular roadmap is a deception, how do ordinary people break free and actually build real wealth? Chapter 2 examines how poor and ordinary people sometimes become rich and why those routes differ from conventional advice. Chapter 2, How the Poor Really Get Rich. Do most self-made rich people become wealthy by scrimping and saving? The answer will surprise you. DeMarco demonstrates that the common paths to sudden wealth among the poor are not the slow lane virtues. Wealth emerges through risk, value creation, entrepreneurship, and occasionally by extreme luck. Scraping pennies seldom moves the needle. Real change comes from creating systems that serve many people. The poor who become rich often do so by breaking rules, by leveraging opportunities, and by building businesses rather than by relying on a paycheck. If saving alone rarely produces wealth, what fundamental quality must an aspiring wealthy person control? Chapter 3 explains why control is the non-negotiable axis of wealth. Chapter 3, Wealth Demands Control. Why will a carefully structured job never give you the control necessary for true wealth? DeMarco argues that wealth requires control over income sources, pricing, operations, and strategic direction. When someone depends on an employer, a market, or third-party algorithms, that person forfeits critical levers. Control allows intentional decisions about scale, timing, and value delivery. Without control, income remains a function of someone else's schedule and whims. DeMarco shows that control transforms labor into an asset and unlocks scalable outcomes. Control is necessary, but how does a person seize the steering wheel of life itself? Chapter 4 frames the metaphor of a life steering wheel and shows what it means to steer toward wealth. Chapter 4, Life's Steering Wheel. Who sits at the wheel of your life, you or the expectations and systems around you? The book uses the steering wheel metaphor to highlight agency. Owning the wheel means setting priorities, defining acceptable trade-offs, and choosing vehicles that accelerate you toward freedom. Those who surrender the wheel to employers, creditors, or social norms end up in the rear seat of their own lives. DeMarco insists that wealth is achieved by active navigation, not by passive compliance with external demands. Many people believe the slow lane offers safety, yet this apparent safety cuts both ways. Chapter 5 exposes the slow lane as a double-edged sword. Chapter 5, The Slow Lane. A double-edged sword. How can the very strategy sold as safe become the instrument of stagnation? The slow lane packs short-term comfort and long-term surrender. It shields people from immediate risk but exchanges control for delayed payoff. The hidden costs include opportunity cost, the erosion of health and time, and dependence on variables outside personal control. DeMarco stresses that safety without speed results in postponed life and reduced optionality. The slow lane's security is a form of bondage when it becomes the only accepted route. If the slow lane is not true safety, what is wealth beyond a single destination? Chapter 6 reframes wealth as an ongoing journey. Chapter 6 Wealth is not a road, but a road trip. Is wealth a final destination or a way of living across time? The answer changes everything. DeMarco reframes wealth as a road trip where the quality of the journey matters. Wealth should buy control over daily time, choices, and experiences, not merely possessions at retirement. Planning a road trip requires map, vehicle, and pacing. Similarly, building wealth requires a coherent plan, a vehicle that scales, and iterative adjustments. The fast lane focuses on designing the journey to enjoy freedom across life, not after it. If life is a road trip, what happens when people remain trapped in paycheck cycles? Chapter 7 examines how paychecks create a loop that caps life options. Chapter 7 Paycheck to Paycheck, a slow lane road trip. Why do millions remain trapped in cycles that guarantee no progress toward true freedom? Living paycheck to paycheck is a structural symptom of slow lane economics. Consumption patterns, lifestyle inflation, and lack of scalable income keep people tied to immediate survival and short horizons. DeMarco shows how this cycle prevents accumulation of real assets and perpetuates vulnerability. Breaking the cycle requires shifting from consumption habits to systems that create surplus and optionality. Once a person recognizes the trap, the standard notion of retirement still looks bleak. Chapter 8 reveals the true cost of a slow lane retirement. Chapter 8 Slow Lane Retirement. A wheelchair ride. What is the tragedy of retiring after a lifetime of deferred living? The image is brutal but instructive. DeMarco presents retirement as a potential wheelchair ride, wealth delayed until health and energy have declined. The slow lane promises comfort when it is often too late to pursue passions or ventures that require vitality. The real tragedy is trading energetic years for a future when physical capacities are limited. Fast lane thinking seeks to shift freedom earlier, to enable meaningful living while one has the energy to enjoy it. The slow lane relies on assumptions and gambles. Chapter 9 exposes the slow lane as a lifetime gamble with many variables stacked against the individual. Chapter 9 The slow lane is a lifetime gamble. How much of the slow lane plan depends on luck and uncontrollable forces? The math is frightening. Retirement timelines rely on markets, employers, health, and longevity. DeMarco explains that compounding returns do not guarantee outcomes. They require discipline, favorable markets, and time that may not exist. Job loss, inflation, and personal crises can obliterate decades of planning. The slow lane is a bet that external conditions will remain kind and unreliable wager for one's life. If the slow lane is a fragile bet, what messages do parents send their children by following it? Chapter 10 examines the cultural and generational impact. Chapter 10 The slow lane. Why kids do not want to be like you. What legacy does a life of deferred dreams leave for the next generation? The answer reveals a deeper cost. Children watch and learn from how adults trade time for money. When parents model a life of delay and resignation, children absorb the script and internalize fear and low aspiration. DeMarco warns that building a life that values immediate purpose and control creates a different inheritance: curiosity, agency, and entrepreneurial courage. The fast lane, when modeled, teaches children to design lives rather than to inherit resignation. Having dismantled the slow lane, the book now pivots to the fast lane, the real roadmap to accelerated wealth and time freedom. The next part will define the vehicle that actually delivers speed. Part 2, the Fastlane Roadmap, Chapter 11, the Fastlane Distinction. Imagine being on a racetrack where most cars crawl slowly, following rules that promise eventual arrival. Then a few cars flash by at incredible speed. The distinction is that those in the fast lane reject the traditional script of time for money and instead harness leverage, automation, and scale. DeMarco explains that the fast lane is not about reckless shortcuts but about designing vehicles that allow wealth to accelerate exponentially rather than linearly. The path is open, but very few dare to switch lanes. The next chapter reveals why most people are afraid to take that exit. Chapter 12, Fast Lane Math. If the slow lane relies on compound interest over decades, the fast lane relies on a different equation, the multiplication of value. Instead of working harder or waiting longer, the fast lane uses mathematics of scale, serving thousands or millions rather than one. A single system, idea, or product can create streams of income far greater than what a salary offers. The numbers are startling because the same hours in a day can be leveraged to touch countless lives. But this kind of math only works when paired with control, and the following chapter uncovers why you must own the system itself. Chapter 13, You Are the Producer, Not the Consumer. Look closely at every fortune, and you will find producers, not consumers, at the core. Wealth flows to those who create goods, services, and platforms, not to those who endlessly consume them. DeMarco argues that shifting identity from consumer to producer is the first real leap into the fast lane. Instead of asking what to buy, one must ask what to build. Consumers feed systems, but producers design them. Once this shift is made, the very act of living changes direction. Yet most people hesitate because they believe success demands genius or rare luck. The next chapter dismantles that myth. Chapter 14, Luck, Chance, and the Fast Lane. Many surrender their ambitions because they believe wealth is only for the lucky. DeMarco shows that while luck exists, opportunity favors those who create exposure to it through action. Entrepreneurs place themselves in positions where chance encounters, ideas, and timing can matter. The more one builds, tests, and releases, the more likely luck appears. Wealth looks like a miracle from the outside, but is often the result of deliberate, repeated shots at opportunity. If luck is not the gatekeeper, then what is? The answer lies in process, revealed in the next chapter. Chapter 15, Wealth is a process, not an event from the outside. Success appears sudden. A product goes viral, a business explodes, or an individual makes it overnight. But DeMarco insists that every event of wealth sits atop years of process, learning, testing, failing, and adjusting. The fast lane is not a one-time jackpot, but a disciplined design of processes that lead to predictable events. Seeing wealth as process shifts the mindset from gambling to engineering. Once you adopt this mindset, the critical question becomes, what kind of road should your vehicle drive on? That is answered in the next chapter. Chapter 16, Roadmaps to Wealth. Every road leads somewhere, but not every road leads to freedom. DeMarco maps out 3 roadways: the sidewalk of consumption, the slow lane of delayed reward, and the fast lane of value creation. Each has predictable outcomes. The sidewalk leads to financial ruin, the slow lane to mediocrity and risk, and the fast lane to accelerated wealth. The important decision is choosing your road intentionally, because drifting usually lands you in the slowest lanes. Once you pick the fast lane, the next step is to define what wealth really means, something the next chapter reframes in a surprising way. Chapter 17, Wealth is more than money. Most imagine wealth as a number in a bank account, but DeMarco expands the definition. True wealth consists of 3 currencies: time, health, and relationships, with money serving as a supporting vehicle. Without time to enjoy life, without health to engage in it, and without people to share it with, money alone is hollow. The Fastlane's true promise is not riches, but freedom to control the other currencies. The pursuit of money for its own sake creates emptiness, but the pursuit of wealth as freedom transforms living. This raises a deeper question. How does one find purpose in this pursuit? That is the subject of the next chapter. Chapter 18, Your Purpose as the Compass Without Purpose. Wealth is like a powerful car without direction. It moves fast but leads nowhere. DeMarco encourages defining a purpose that aligns with impact, contribution, and personal fulfillment. Purpose transforms the journey from chasing money into designing meaning. When purpose drives the vehicle, money becomes the byproduct rather than the destination. But purpose alone does not move the car forward. It requires a roadmap that aligns decisions with long-term vision. The next chapter outlines how to craft that roadmap with precision. Chapter 19, The Roadmap of Control. At this stage, the difference between drifting and driving becomes critical. A roadmap of control means owning the levers of your business, your systems, and your life decisions. You design the vehicle, you decide the speed, and you steer the course. Control empowers you to pivot when conditions change, to scale when opportunities arise, and to protect yourself from dependency. Without it, your vehicle belongs to someone else. Yet, even with control and purpose, a journey without rules ends in chaos. The next chapter introduces the commandments that govern every Fastlane success. Chapter 20, The Fastlane Commandments. DeMarco outlines 5 commandments that act as laws of the Fastlane: the commandment of need, the commandment of entry, the commandment of control, the commandment of scale, and the commandment of time. These principles separate ideas that create wealth from those that waste time. For example, a product that solves no need, or a business you cannot control, is a dead end. When all 5 commandments align, the road opens wide and the vehicle accelerates. The question now becomes, how can you build vehicles that obey these laws while delivering exponential results? That begins in the next part of the book. Part 3, Wealth's Shortcuts. Chapter 21, The Commandment of Need. Picture a marketplace filled with flashy ideas that seem exciting but quickly die. Why do most businesses collapse even before they begin? DeMarco insists that the number one rule of wealth is to solve a genuine need. Money flows where pain is relieved or desires are fulfilled. Chasing trends, copying others, or inventing something without demand leads to failure. True wealth builders focus relentlessly on solving problems that people care deeply about. But what about barriers that keep people out of these opportunities? The next chapter reveals why those barriers are actually your secret weapon. Chapter 22, The Commandment of Entry. Why do so many people rush into businesses that anyone can start? The commandment of entry explains that the easier it is to enter a business, the harder it is to succeed in it. Low entry markets invite floods of competition, driving profits to zero. Instead, you should seek fields with natural barriers, knowledge, capital, skills, or effort. The higher the wall to climb, the fewer people will be competing with you. Yet even if you find the perfect entry point, what happens if someone else controls the rules of your game? The next commandment exposes the danger. Chapter 23, The Commandment of Control. Imagine building your dream business, only to have it shut down overnight because someone else holds the switch. DeMarco stresses that you must own and control your system. If your business depends entirely on platforms, bosses, or gatekeepers, then you are not free. True wealth requires ownership over the distribution, the decisions, and the future of your vehicle. Control protects your income from being stolen by factors outside your reach. But even control is powerless if your business cannot expand beyond your own hands. The next commandment shows how to multiply results. Chapter 24, The Commandment of Scale. What if the same effort that serves one person could serve 1,000 or 1,000,000? Scale is the power to impact large numbers without increasing your effort proportionally. Wealth grows when products, systems, and platforms touch many lives. A doctor can only see so many patients, but a doctor who creates a health platform can reach millions. The same hours, leveraged by scale, create exponential results. However, even scalable systems collapse if they trap you in endless work. The final commandment unlocks the key to freedom, chapter 25, the commandment of time. What good is money if you must spend your entire life earning it? The ultimate wealth builder is detaching your income from your time. DeMarco warns that if your business needs you constantly, you do not own a vehicle, you own a job. Fastlane businesses are designed to generate wealth even when you are not working. Automation, delegation, and systems separate your time from your money. With the commandments set, how do you design a vehicle that actually obeys them? That is the focus of the next chapter. Chapter 26, the law of affection. Why do some businesses create millionaires while others barely survive? The law of affection states that the more lives you impact and the more deeply you impact them, the richer you become. Wealth is a direct reflection of value delivered at scale. It is not about selfish pursuit of money, but about maximizing service. By aligning impact with income, the road to wealth opens. But how do you test whether your idea truly creates that impact? The next chapter introduces the litmus test. Chapter 27, the business seedling. Every great business begins as a fragile seed, but how do you know if your seed will grow into a tree or wither away? A business idea must be planted in the soil of need, nurtured with execution, and protected by the commandments. DeMarco calls this the business seedling. Most seeds die because they are thrown into barren ground of get-rich schemes. The right seed, however, grows into a financial tree that feeds you for life. But even with a seed planted, how do you scale it into a vehicle that races on the fast lane? That is the subject of the next chapter. Chapter 28, build a brand, not just a business. Why do some companies become unforgettable, while others vanish into obscurity? The difference is brand. A brand creates trust, identity, and emotional connection. While businesses compete on price, brands command loyalty. DeMarco argues that building a brand transforms your seed into a mighty tree that attracts customers, resists competition, and scales impact. A strong brand multiplies every other effort you make. But how do you create a vehicle that keeps moving forward no matter the weather? That secret is unveiled next. Chapter 29, the realities of execution. Ideas are cheap. Why do most entrepreneurs still fail even when they have great ideas? Because execution is everything. DeMarco shatters the myth of the million-dollar idea. Without relentless action, discipline, and follow-through, even the best seed will rot. The fast lane demands consistent, massive execution, not wishful thinking. Success belongs to those who execute while others dream. Yet execution alone can be exhausting without a framework. The next chapter introduces a way to tie it all together. Chapter 30, the vehicle of wealth. If wealth is a journey, what exactly carries you there? The vehicle is your business system designed with the commandments, powered by execution, and guided by purpose. DeMarco compares it to a car on the fast lane. If built right, it accelerates beyond imagination. Your vehicle determines your speed, freedom, and ultimate destination. Building it well is the essence of the fast lane mindset. With the vehicle ready, how do you actually drive it toward massive wealth without crashing? That is where Part 4 takes us. Part 4, Fastlane Mastery, Chapter 31, Wealth is a formula. Could there be a repeatable formula to build wealth rather than relying on luck or timing? DeMarco shows that wealth creation is systematic. It relies on three variables: controlling your vehicle, scaling impact, and decoupling income from time. When combined, these factors produce predictable results. Wealth is not random. It follows laws that anyone willing to execute can follow. If there is a formula, why do so many fail to apply it? The next chapter exposes the hidden obstacles. Chapter 32, The Fastlane Traps. Why do many Fastlane aspirants crash despite knowing the rules? Traps include ego, procrastination, impatience, and attachment to comfort. DeMarco emphasizes that knowledge without disciplined action leads nowhere. Avoiding distractions and focusing relentlessly on value creation separates the winners from the crowd. Mastery requires more than avoiding traps. It requires active navigation. The next chapter explains how to maintain speed without losing direction. Chapter 33, Momentum Matters. How can you build unstoppable momentum in your wealth-building journey? Small wins compound into massive results when leveraged consistently. DeMarco illustrates how persistence, measurement, and iteration turn effort into exponential growth. Momentum accelerates income, influence, and opportunities, transforming a simple idea into a scalable fast-lane vehicle. But momentum alone is insufficient if you are not addressing the right problems. Chapter 34 uncovers the importance of choosing impactful targets. Chapter 34, Solve real problems. Can a small problem create huge wealth if approached correctly? The fast lane thrives on solving high-impact problems. DeMarco stresses that targeting real pain points generates demand, loyalty, and rapid growth. Focusing on trivial issues wastes energy and slows acceleration. The magnitude of impact determines the size of the financial outcome. Even with a problem identified, how do you ensure your solution reaches the largest audience? Chapter 35 answers this critical question. Chapter 35, Distribution. Is everything what separates a brilliant product that fails from a mediocre product that succeeds? The answer is distribution. DeMarco explains that how you deliver value and reach your audience determines the outcome. Without a strategy to distribute solutions at scale, even the best innovations remain invisible. Fastlane wealth requires not just creation but strategic dissemination. Distribution alone is not enough if you cannot optimize and automate systems. The next chapter reveals the mechanics of leverage. Chapter 36, The Leverage Multiplier. What if 1 hour of work could produce results for thousands of people simultaneously? Leverage multiplies effort exponentially. Through technology, teams, or processes, you extend your impact without proportionally increasing time spent. DeMarco emphasizes that leveraging systems is the ultimate speed mechanism in the fast lane. Even leveraged systems need protection. Chapter 37 warns of the dangers of uncontrolled dependence. Chapter 37, Protect your vehicle. Can a well-built system collapse overnight? Risk is everywhere. Owning platforms, customers, and intellectual property protects your income from external shocks. DeMarco stresses that a fast-lane vehicle must be resilient, scalable, and insulated from variables beyond your control. Protection is essential, but growth requires acceleration. The next chapter explores scaling strategies. Chapter 38, Scale or Die. Why does small success rarely lead to lasting wealth? DeMarco emphasizes that scalability distinguishes multimillionaires from modest earners. Expanding reach, automating operations, and replicating systems turns small wins into financial freedom. Without scale, wealth plateaus and stagnates. Scaling without direction is dangerous. Chapter 39 teaches how to maintain clarity while growing. Chapter 39, Clarity in Complexity. How do you stay focused while handling a fast-growing enterprise? Clarity comes from purpose, metrics, and disciplined priorities. DeMarco shows that simplification and focus prevent overwhelm and wasted effort. The fast lane is not just speed. It is speed with direction. Momentum, scale, and clarity are powerful, but the next chapter addresses an often overlooked obstacle: mindset. Chapter 40, Master your mindset. Could your thoughts be the main barrier between you and wealth? DeMarco asserts that belief, resilience, and an entrepreneurial mindset determine who succeeds in the fast lane. Mental habits, fear of failure, and attachment to comfort are more dangerous than market conditions. Wealth begins in the mind before it appears in the bank. Mindset sets the stage, but action is the vehicle. Chapter 41 details the principle of consistent action. Chapter 41, Massive Action Wins. Why do a few people achieve extraordinary wealth while others with similar ideas fail? Execution beats theory every time. DeMarco highlights that taking massive, intelligent action converts knowledge into wealth. Ideas alone are worthless. Consistent implementation accelerates results exponentially. Action without refinement leads to mistakes. The next chapter explains the feedback loop of learning. Chapter 42, Feedback Accelerates Growth. Can your mistakes be the fastest path to wealth? DeMarco explains that every error, failure, or misstep provides critical data. Embracing feedback allows entrepreneurs to pivot, optimize, and refine their systems. Opportunity has a window. Wealth favors those who arrive in time to maximize impact. Timing, feedback, mindset, and action create the perfect storm, but sustainability is the final piece. Chapter 44 addresses longevity. Chapter 44, Sustainable Wealth. How do you ensure that your Fastlane success lasts decades instead of months? DeMarco emphasizes systems, brand, and scalable operations that maintain value and growth. Sustainability ensures wealth is not temporary but permanent, providing freedom and security for life. Part 4 concludes with the ultimate lesson on living as a Fastlaner. Chapter 45, The Fastlane Lifestyle. What does it truly mean to live life on the Fastlane? The Fastlane is more than money. It is freedom over time, energy, and choice. DeMarco shows how wealth can be used to pursue purpose, experiences, and impact. The journey is accelerated, intentional, and fulfilling. True Fastlane living is not about escape, it is about designing life on your terms. The book ends with a challenge. Will you remain in the slow lane or take control and drive your vehicle toward wealth and freedom? Conclusion, the Millionaire Fastlane takeaways. Imagine living a life where your income grows even when you sleep, where time, freedom, and purpose align, and where wealth becomes a tool to amplify impact rather than a burden to chase endlessly. The Millionaire Fastlane teaches that true wealth is not about slow accumulation, luck, or following societal scripts. It is about control, scale, and speed. By designing your own vehicle, whether a business, platform, or system, you can decouple money from time, solve real problems, leverage massive reach, and live life on your own terms. DeMarco emphasizes that mindset, massive action, feedback, and purpose are the engines that propel you forward. Wealth is a process, a deliberate choice, and a lifestyle, not a distant hope. Now, the question is not whether wealth is possible, it is whether you are ready to take control of your vehicle, step into the fast lane, and accelerate your life. Decide today, will you remain in the slow lane, or will you drive toward freedom, impact, and wealth at a speed most people never experience? Key notes for viewers: wealth is created through value, not consumption. Time, control, and scale are your greatest assets. Mindset and purpose determine whether you reach the fast lane. Massive action and execution beat ideas every single time. Sustainable wealth requires systems, leverage, and consistent growth. Final thought: building fast lane wealth is not easy. It demands discipline, courage, and creativity. But those who commit to the principles in this book can achieve financial freedom and live life on their own terms.